It's getting hot in the Machine Seeker EHF Champions League, where old champions are dominating, giants are struggling, and almost forgotten teams are getting back on track. And on the women's side, we have the everlasting question on who is strong enough to take down Győr. We're taking the final steps in the directions of Cologne and Budapest, and we're here to analyze it for you guys. So have fun with the episode.
Ball across to Dylan. He double in flight. Oh, what a start!
Ooh, into the net.
She does it again.
Yes, and Víctor are the champions of Europe. Put something here. She has a game. Across the keeper. What a comeback!
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to talk handball again, and after the group phase, it's time for the midterms in the EHF Champions League. As we will look into our midterms, just like in school, we want to have a look at who's making it into the next round, who's the best at the moment, and who failed the class. As of our midterms, we start with our workhorse, the man that can't be stopped whenever he has something in mind, and what your parents tell you their path to school looked like. He's making it his running trail. Martin Vilstrup, how are you?
Yeah, I assume, depending on my last Instagram stories, that it looks like I completely changed my way of living. Been running a lot, trying to work out. You know, there's a beach handball season coming up, and I'm getting older. But it's great to see you guys. As I just said before we went live, I feel like it's been a while, even though that we had an episode also earlier recording together. But sometimes I miss those beautiful faces.
But I mean, Martin, you are running towards the 40. There's other hobbies too. You don't always have to go running, right? I mean, if you're looking for hints, you can ask the second guy that I'm just about to introduce right now, because we want to go over to our A-grader, our stylish wonder kid, and the man with the work ethic of Rocky and the loyalty of Forrest Gump. Ladies and gentlemen, Víctor Tomàs, how are you?
The loyalty of Forrest Gump. Okay.
It's definitely the most positive attribute that guy has to offer.
It is. I'm good, my friends. I'm good. I've been traveling a little bit this week, so I'm back home and ready to talk about handball with you guys.
Exactly like that, and we are in a very interesting time right now, as we will be looking into the playoffs. But as our podcast is looking a little bit into superior topics this season, it is our first time talking about some major things, and there are topics with some teams that need to be looked into. That's why I would say let's not waste too much time here. We'll start with the ones in the Machine Seeker EHF Champions League on the men's side that actually already made it through to the semifinals and the quarterfinals. Sorry, and we'll start there, of course, with Füchse Berlin, the winners of Group A, and we have to wrap up their season a little bit, because what a start it was for Berlin, with 9 straight victories coming into the Champions League. Martin, did they show straight from the start that we have to count them as the title favorites this year?
Oh, favorites, I actually don't think they are, but I believe with the last season in mind that they have a hunger for this season, and they're really going for it, because last season they had a great opportunity, and many of us predicted them as the winners, but they only made it as runner-up. So I believe they will come into the knockout stage very, very hungry, but obviously they left a very good impression also on the group stage.
We are going to do a little power ranking already. I think Martin is very well prepared, and Victor, you can just think about it on the fly. Who are your top 5 teams? And I'm pretty sure that Berlin will get a spot in there, because, they had a coach's change at the beginning of the season with Nikolai Krikau taking over. Martin, how do you like the Krikau handball in Berlin?
Oh, I have to also, with all the respect of Jaron Sievert that was there before, that I also like the way that he played. But obviously in the beginning, Krikau, I think he had, you couldn't say a tough start, but I believed his first game was against Magdeburg or somebody else there, which is always tough to start with. But I like Krikau, the way he's playing. I know him from the Danish league. I actually have known Krikau for many, many years. My older brother used to play with him when they were, I don't know, under the age of 10. And, it's the fast handball, and obviously also try to create the team that he wants to for the future, and the way that they're playing now with the Kunkel, Lichtlein, Gitzel, and these kind of small players, moving the ball very fast. And in some sense, you can put it a little bit similar to how Magdeburg plays, but I like it. And without saying too much now, I'm also looking forward to the matchup they potentially gonna have in the knockout stage.
Yeah, that is true. But one thing that you said there, Matthias Gitzel being named one of the small players, he's 1 meter 90. Victor, what does that do to you?
In handball terms, guys.
Yeah, well, right. Victor was
hey,
a great rower in the Spanish history.
Why do you enjoy that much? To tease me. It's like this podcast favorite thing.
Yeah, well, because there's nothing else in your life to be made fun of. The rest of your life is just perfect, man. Just leave us with the tiny little bit that we have.
And I'm actually 177. So for a Spanish, let's say, guy, it's, let's say, quite a decent one.
Yeah,
You
most
know?
definitely, most definitely.
But answering to your question, that makes me a very, very short guy.
Yeah, but I mean, one that no, go ahead, Martin.
No, it's the first time I actually start to believe in Victor when he says that he was an underused right back, but in modern handball, maybe he could have done, something as a playmaker or as a right back. But I believe in the time, okay, it's not that long time ago, but when Victor was playing, it was kind of a different, can you say handball in terms of, the backup players and the size of them. But it could be interesting to see Victor as the right back or playmaker now, I can picture it for me.
I just need 6 weeks of intense physical plan, and I'll be there.
And then, Victor, whenever I will ever get asked for an all-time favorite starting seven for handball, I am gonna put you on the right back position. So you can count on that.
You are my man. I love you.
But then let's stay at the Krikau handball in Berlin there as well. Do you agree with the analysis of Martin? So it basically sounds like it was to be a perfect match right from the start anyway.
Yes, I think Nicolai stepped in a very, very difficult situation. It was these moves that the management of Berlin decided to do. It was shocking to everybody because the results that Berlin was having in the previous years were very good, and the growth of the team was very good. So I think the situation that Nicolai had to take over was very complicated, and I think the way he did it was great. I think that already he has full respect of the whole roster, and the way he has put his stamp on the team. It's been great, even though it was a very well trained and prepared team for because the way that Jaron was doing with the team was amazing. And I think that Nicolai was very smart to don't change too much things, to actually play in a very similar style.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it came a little bit of a shock, with Kritzma and Siva that they were not a part of the project anymore. But I think it also have something to do with Krikau and the connection with Gitzel from Denmark and GOG, and obviously also all the rumors about Pytlik going there and when will he go there. There's something to that as well, and maybe there was a more plan for the future to do it now than later on the season. But yeah, I mean, the way that it's going right now in the Bundesliga, they will especially have the hunger for the Champions League title, because it's looking like Magdeburg is taking this year's Bundesliga title at the moment.
Yeah, well, just as we are recording on Wednesday, 25th of March, we are unfortunately just ahead of the clash in between Magdeburg and Berlin in the Bundesliga, so
Yeah.
we can't talk about that one. But that doesn't matter too much because we want to focus on their run in the Champions League there. And after those 9 matches that they have won in a row, one did feel like they took power out of the Champions League race because they felt comfortable there and focused a little more on the Bundesliga, because it was around that time that it didn't look too well for Berlin in the Bundesliga, as the other teams are super strong as well. And I think it was the 11th of December where they lost their last match in the Bundesliga. And it was around that time when they started losing games in Champions League too. So 9 straight victories in Bundesliga for Füchse Berlin ever since. Does that justify that they didn't fight for every victory in the Champions League anymore, Victor?
I think they fought for the victories, but they just they just lost. I think, of course, it's strange to lose 2 games in a row at home, but I think they actually fought for the victories and they used the players. They thought they had to play those games in order to try to win them. But of course, I think that this thing that if you are first or second in the group phase, to go directly to quarterfinals and having the return game at home, I think it gives you a little bit of space to lose a couple of games. I think they fought it, they tried it, they didn't succeed, and they were okay with it.
Yeah.
So, Martin, you don't see any decrease in intensity there either?
No, I mean, they ended up being number 1, but for me, the most shocking losing against Kolstad, but it was in Norway. Then they lost against Kielce, where Talent, he did some of his magic when whatever he does sometimes with Dylan Nahi and his defenses, and then against Nantes. Did they really have anything to play for since they were already number 1, with all due respect? But I think you need to take those kind of things into consideration, and whenever they will play the next one, they will be ready. But obviously, if you ask them, they would have liked to win all of the games, but sometimes it's an intense program with a Bundesliga title and Champions League. So I'm not saying that they didn't fight their fight in the Champions League, but they had enough points and a good start to maybe deliver what we consider as a little bit disappointing performance in some of the games.
You got to be careful with that, because they did end up with 22 points there. So they managed to stay on top of a very, very strong group, a group where you did have the feeling that people can steal points of each other in very crucial and important moments. And Aalborg was the other team that stood strong there. So they finished second with 21 points. And yeah, I mean, Aalborg seemed very consistent throughout the group phase. So, Victor, how do you like the new Aalborg with Juri Knorr and Sander Sargosen?
I like them. I still feel that they are one of the best teams, of course, but I still feel, I don't know, that to be, the real winners, to take it home, something else it's needed. I really don't know what it is, because they are, I think, capable to win against every team. And I like the way Juri Knorr adapted to the team. In my eyes, actually, he's a better player now. I think that it was good for him to play a new style of game, because in my opinion now he's now playing much more without the ball, and he's taking these movements without the ball, that it's giving him advantage when he has the ball. So I think that it's very good. It's a good team with, as you said, Sander, Juri, Mats, Hoxer, Landin, and so on. But I think, of course, that they are still not in my top 3.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. And one name that you didn't drop in that rotation was Thomas Arnoldsen, who is actually playing a massive season right now. It is already his best Champions League season ever. Martin, when will he get a central role in the Danish national team too, with that form?
Yeah, I believe actually, or he already has it. We saw it at the Olympics where he came in. Then at this European Championship, he had an injury, and then he came back. And I just have to say, also, what a performance to come back and only play one friendly match before you enter the European Championship into the knockout stage there to also go in the middle of the defense together with Hoxer because of the problems they had with the line players, and they fought really really tough. And for me, Hoxer and Arnoldson, they are very 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 strong individual, but also together. And for me, the part about Aalborg is that they have Landin, and sometimes Landin, he can do crazy things. He has the experience in that team. What I like about Aalborg is that it's not a Danish way to go out and say, but they are going for the Champions League title. They're aiming for it, and it's in Denmark it's like you're bragging a little bit when you do like that. But actually, I like that they dare to do so, and they also undefeated in the Danish league. So at the moment, comfortable in first place, can maybe focus a little bit more on the Champions League. And I have to also agree with Victor what he said about Ulrik Noah. I find it unbelievable impressive that he already learned a tough language like Danish and doing interviews in Danish. Yeah, that's crazy. I know you guys make fun of Victor and his height, but you also do about my Danish and the way that we speak. So to be able to learn it that quick, I take a lot of respect for Yuri.
Yeah, 100%, especially how quickly he learned that. So how quickly he picked it up just shows how...
Yeah, sorry, Bengt. I just saw an interview with Landin saying that Yuri speaks better Danish than the Norwegian players does. So it says a lot,
Yeah, fair enough. And I mean, I do agree with you completely when it comes down to the Aalborg consistency over the entire season. So they had a long run where they were even, really competing for the top spot in the Group A. But then came two matches against Sporting and against Füchse Berlin. So, well, how do we rank them? Is it, well, we were already through to the quarterfinals already and they took out some energy, or can we see it as they are not there when they're needed to, and in the crucial moments of the Champions League, those were the first signs that it can be a dangerous one for Aalborg, Victor?
Well, I think that mature teams, these kind of games, even when you don't need the points, you just give everything to win the points, you know, and somehow you just end up winning. And I think that Aalborg is a super team. It's a team that can win the competition. It's a team that can win in a double game against teams, in my eyes, a little bit ahead of them, like Barcelona or Magdeburg, but they are not a mature team yet, in my opinion. But I think that it's normal, in the minds and in the body. The body is always following the mind, and in the mind, that somehow you don't need to kill, for the victory, because the job is done, So I wouldn't be very worried if I would be a Aalborg fan. But of course, these kind of games, in my culture, the way I learned and the way I grew up in Barcelona, you have to win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you see the games like that, Martin?
Aalborg is at the stage now where they also have to win every game in the Danish league, and people are like already saying now, whenever the playoff kicks off, that Aalborg will win all the games. So people are thinking about which group do you want to be in, with Aalborg that wins all. I believe each game actually had some to it. Against Füchse Berlin, they have been struggling. Also last year, Füchse Berlin also played against Aalborg. Then against Sporting, they were leading big but lost it. And then against Veszprém, to win in Veszprém, but it was something weird about this game with Veszprém. The spectators were not loud. Spectators shouting adios, I believe, was towards Xavi Pascual. And then after there came a press release and all this. But to me, Aalborg looks strong. but even though without saying too much now, I also think they will make it to the Final Four, but there are other teams that I believe more in than Aalborg at the moment.
Then let's move over to one of those teams that you probably believe a little more in, because we want to have a look at the group winners of Group B. What a season, 13-0-1, and well, you're not surprised by those Barca numbers any longer. So they deliver that year after year, but what impressed me the most this year was the dominance that Barca showed throughout the entire season in all those games. So as I looked up at the results, not a single game won with less than 3 goals. They the only defeat that they had was at home, a 21-22 against Magdeburg. Victor, what happened there?
It was a goalkeeper's game. I think Emil and Sergei, they played an amazing game. It was very fun to watch because it was like the old days. And actually, Barrufet, he had a penalty with the time. The time was finished, and he shoot to the post. So it was, a chance for Barcelona to even the game. But Magdeburg, they just deserved the win that day. And but I think that Barca used this result as a fuel, for the rest of the group phase, and they were waiting to go to Magdeburg to play that game.
Actually, I was so lucky to be there live watching the game against Magdeburg in Barcelona and Palau de Grana, and watching it. So thank you, Victor, for that.
I'm not gonna make any arrangements for you anymore in Palau Blaugrana, because one time you come in 20 years, we lose the game.
Yeah, it's actually always like that, right? So whenever Martin's at the arena and one for us relevant team is playing, they screw it up.
What happened with Denmark-Portugal?
That's also one of, but I was also watching them against France and so on. But you're right.
Okay.
But I actually also I don't recall the last time Barcelona only scored 21 goals at home. It's been many years ago they scored so few goals. So as Victor said, it probably put them a little bit on fire. And for me, it's also important that Dicamem, he stays fit. Throughout the season, he's obviously important for them. And I don't recall that he played that game. Actually, I believe he was out for that game, which also said something. But yeah, I said it earlier. I think the most underrated player that there is Ngo Zhang. He's a beast, if you ask me. Really performing all the time at the highest level in the biggest club. And for me, he can do so much damage to the opponents.
And
That's crazy.
And I mean, well, with the Angasson and all the other players around, especially looking at the results that they had, is that even a new level of dominance, Martin?
I don't know if it's a new level of dominance because some of the other clubs are also very, very competitive and playing in a different style, but I believe they're in a good form. Marguc also played a very good European Championship, and if Dicamem can stay fit, and then we know, for me, the real dominance is about Barcelona is that that's the main goal for them. They know what it takes to go to Cologne and be in Cologne because they've been there so many times. They just know what it takes, and that's you don't underestimate. Actually, the first thing is to get there, but once you're there, it's not just being there and show up. It takes some character, and that Barcelona has, and they are well aware of it, and all the opponents are as well.
Yeah, that is true. And well, you talked a little bit about Markuts, but let's go into that topic a little deeper as well. Victor, can we consider it as his breakout season right now? Because it already is his best Champions League campaign ever when it comes down to scoring goals.
Yes, and and in a curious way, it comes when everybody knows that he's gonna leave the club, and when he probably is feeling more free to just play his handball. So I think that more than ever, the body is following the mind, and I think that his mind now is free, is just feeling his handball after the this immense injury he had in the knee that I think made him to don't play his handball for a couple of years. But now I feel that he's 100% confident in his body. He's 100% confident in his handball style, and he is making to play the team amazingly.
Yeah, and it's almost a little sad with Mem leaving in the near future and Markowitz leaving in the near future too. Well, just with the what if they would stay there and what could happen out of them. But I mean, the destinations that they are going to aren't the worst in handball world either. So we will follow that as well. And I mean, of course, that will mean changes in the backcourt. But I wouldn't even see the backcourt as Barca's strongest position right now, because 90 combined goals by the line players right now. Those are some impressive stats for Barca too, right, Martin?
It is. You know, you're putting me here on the spot to choose which positions are the strongest one for Barcelona, who's the biggest team in the world. It's like I say something now, and you guys are gonna use it against me, or somebody else thinks it's one of the wings, you know. And we also said that Emil Nilsson, and we know that Sergei Hernandez taking over. There are a lot of
Let's stay at
positions.
field positions.
Yeah, okay. I mean, whoever is leaving Barcelona had a great time there and are well aware of what Barcelona is, but Barcelona will always be Barcelona, and there will be new ones coming in and taking over some of the spotlight that they had. But I don't disagree about the line players being the strong one, maybe. I don't know if it's the strongest one.
Are you bold
I
enough
think
for
it's
it?
no doubt. I think it's no doubt.
Yeah.
It's the strongest duo in the world. I think Fabregas.
Yeah, okay, duo like that. Okay, fair enough.
Fabregas, Frade. I think nobody has any doubt that as a duo is the best.
Yeah,
I-
most definitely.
I believe as also because they can play in both ends also, you know, very versatile. I feel like Saustrup and Bergendahl is also very good, and especially defensively they are something. But then offensively, maybe Frade and Fabregas something more to it. And yeah, they are. I actually think Victor is right for once.
Fair enough. And I mean, well, it is a very strong Champions League title contender right now. Whether it's the number one, we'll see when we do our little power ranking. But then let's look at the other quarterfinalists that we know already, and it is SC Magdeburg, who flew through the Champions League until the 51st minute of the penultimate group match against Barca, when probably Martin Vilstrup entered the arena and there was madness about to happen. But that's a different topic. Victor, what went through Barca to go for a 7-0 run in closing time?
Actually, I don't know because the goalkeepers on that game, they were not that good, but I think Magdeburg had a little better numbers than Barcelona. And actually, I think it was defensively and the way Magdeburg lost the balls that they are using they are normally not using in attack, and the way Barcelona was playing in attack against Magdeburg on that game. I think Domen Makuts, he completely destroyed Saugstrup, because we could see Frade and Fabregas going to the left of Bergendahl, in between Klar and Bergendahl, opening the space for Domen Makuts to go on 1-against-1 against Saugstrup, and then decide what to do. But with all being said, I think it's amazing how Magdeburg has dominated until the last game, both in Bundesliga and in Champions League. I think what Magdeburg is doing the last years, showing this dominance, it's something beyond the stats, you know, because the way they play, it's very physical, and still they go game after game after game, giving that 100%. And I think it's amazing what Magdeburg is doing, and I think it's in my eyes one of the two top favorites to win.
You agree, Martin?
Yeah, they are the two top favorites. I agree, and to win 7 goals in Magdeburg. We spoke about records. I don't recall another team been doing that in recent times. And if your coach will not shave your beard until you lose a game, that also says a lot, when you see it growing from Bennett Wiegert. But yeah, they look strong. It's just also the way that they play. We spoke about it a lot of time. They're very efficient with the fast players and moving the ball very fast. They have a concept and they're very true to that, and that they're performing impressively, as Victor said, in every game, in every competition.
Yeah, that is true. I feel like I could probably promise you guys to not cut my beard until something happens as well, but I don't think that would be as impressive as when Bennett Wieger does it. So we'll probably don't go deeper into that. But well, with everything happening in the Bundesliga right now, with THW Kiel stepping up, with the transfers just announced of Köster, Fischer, Makutz already coming to the working squad as well. Mehmet Pütlik joining an already great Berlin. Do you still see the current Magdeburg above those teams?
Yes, because I think especially Kiel with the new players, it has to be built again, and of course the names don't make the team. So the names are good, the players are really good, but they have to show that they have, to adapt, and especially in those two positions like Fischer and Costa, those positions are complicated to adapt fast and to perform at your best fast and to give to your team some good results fast. So yes, to your question, I think still Magdeburg is a little bit ahead.
Okay.
Maybe only a little bit I believe we're going maybe more into a direction where it's going to be more equal, like older days, but especially for me with the Fischer Berlin backcourt players. And then I'm excited to see what Palika can do for Fischer Berlin. But the other teams becoming stronger just doesn't change the way that Magdeburg approach the games and by how fast they're playing. So people need to find a solution for that. But I believe maybe we will see more equal results towards or in between, all the teams that you just mentioned before. But they will be up there.
I feel like
sure.
As we will go into the summer break sometime, we will have to look at the Bundesliga there. So we will have to do a little lookout on the next couple of Bundesliga seasons, because there are a couple of interesting projects. So Gummersbach as well, but that is something for the future. Let's stick it here with Magdeburg and their potential quarterfinal that will be against the winner out of the matchup, Kielce-Szeged. So that is the playoff matchup that we're looking into, and especially Kielce was super impressive lately with 6 victories in a row. The only team that they couldn't beat in the group was actually Aalborg, and Martin Talland seems to have a solution to each and every problem, and Kielce has to be a favorite and counted on, right?
Yeah, I know. For me, I feel so weird about Kielce because in some sense I ruled them out, earlier in this competition because they were performing like they did. But now they got some injuries back, and now in some sense, I believe they will go through to the quarterfinal. And as I said earlier, what Talent did against Fischer Berlin, and we saw earlier against Magdeburg, that they can go high on the field and try to take some of the tempo. For me, that's going to be very interesting. I don't believe Magdeburg, are clapping their own hands to get a potential Kielce in the quarterfinals. Even though with what I said that I ruled them out earlier, but they are back. They are back in with Talent.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a matchup that we have seen a couple of times throughout the last years, and in very important matches too. Victor, that Magdeburg Kielce seems to be following us, right?
Yeah, this penalty round, it was crazy, and I think it's a great playoff, and actually Kielce is one of the teams that has been going up in my power rankings, because the way they finished this group phase, it was amazing, and I was actually missing a little bit that Kielce was winning in places like Berlin, against Nantes. Also, I think it was in France. I really like to see Kielce up there and to see Kielce winning these big games, because I think handball needs Kielce.
That is true, and I mean, there's more to it. There's more to it than just one person. Since Artem Karalek and Simon Sichko, for instance, they are playing a great season as well. But is a healthy Alex Dushabayev throughout the entire season a little bit of Kielce's secret right now, Martin?
Oh, he is for sure one of the most important, if not the most important player in the game, because he's also the mastermind. But and he likes to set up the plays. We said in earlier episodes that he likes to be in the situation when it needs to be decided. But yeah, he is the mastermind for me. But Vlad Sichko and his brother Dushabayev and some of the others also need to contribute in order for them to be competitive in these games offensively.
Yeah, but with both Dushabayevs leaving, does it feel like a little more of a special season for Kielce, Victor?
Yes, of course. No doubt. I think Kielce's recent history and the big successes that Kielce has had in the last decade, this Dutsevaev name is attached to it, and I think the club and the city is gonna have an extra power, because they want to say goodbye to very, very important players for their history in the best possible way. So I think it's it's going to be a super emotional end of the season in Poland.
I do think so too, but we will see when that end of the season will be in the international competitions, whether that is just around the corner or whether it will be in June in Cologne. So that is still to be written, and the next step that needs to be taken is called Szeged, and well, one can probably say that they will go in there as an underdog, and going into a game as an underdog, they could only win once this season. It was a 31-29 at home against Paris. Martin, do you see a chance for Szeged in this playoff matchup? And if yes, where?
Oh, I believe they have a chance against Kielce. For me, it's a close one with the Kielce as the favorites, because they ended as they did and Szeged ended the way they did. Because for me, it's a little bit of a surprise that they ended up, if I remember correctly, as number 6 in the group, behind GOG and Paris Saint-Germain, that we will probably also Paris. How have they been performing? We can discuss that later maybe, but Szeged, they have a chance, playing in Hungary with the atmosphere, with the Hungarian players. They have Bahidi, Bodo Mikla, his Tulin in goal. And Gaziandia Gottfriedson. They have some of the experienced ones, that knows what it takes. So they have a good team. But I still, as I said, see Kielce as the smaller favorites in this one.
I think Szeged has a chance if they are healthy. If they are not healthy, I don't think so, because we have been Szeged struggling a lot throughout the season with the injuries, and this has lead their games and their performance in the competition. I think when Szeged is healthy, they can win against anyone. But Smarason playing a huge European Championship, coming back and being injured. Panhidi, super important player, if not the most important player in the team, because in attack, especially without him, everything is harder. Also injured on the return of the championship, and Magnus Roth injured for the rest of the season. So I think that injuries are what Szeged has to take care of, and if they can do that, Szeged has a chance.
So we'll keep it short to conclude that playoff. Who will face Magdeburg in the quarterfinal, Martin?
Kielce.
Victor?
Kielce.
I agree. And then we'll move over to the next one, and we are going to have a look at the potential opponent of Aalborg Handball, and that is to be determined in the duel in between Sporting and Plotzk. And, well, normally you would say Plotzk should go in as the favorites, being the third, playing the sixth, but are the roles actually like that, Martin?
I actually, without saying too much, has Sporting maybe as the smaller favorites. And does that really make sense if I look at the group stage where Plotch was number 3 and Sporting was number 6? People would probably argue with that, but Sporting, if I remember correctly, they had was it them or Nantes that played against Plotz that was very, very close, and then Sporting ended out being knocked out by Nantes later before the Final Four. And for me, that just now Sporting and Portuguese handball in general are more experienced with the national team and the way that they perform than some of the key players they have gained, the disappointment from last year and the experience. Then it's going to be very, very close, this one. It's going to be down to 1 or 2 goals. So I'm not saying Sporting just winning it, but very, very close duel. The closest one, if you ask me.
Oh, actually, the closest one?
Yeah. Yeah, I think
I
so.
agree,
I believe 100%.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because I also feel both teams are different, very different, but very equal on the level. And I think any of the teams can go through.
Yeah.
I actually don't know what to say. Who is my favorite? I don't know.
Yeah. And it's 2 Graham home courts, playing in Poland is great, playing in Portugal is great with their spectators, what we have seen there. And I'm saying this because I remember we spoke about last year also, Wisla Ploch, how will they perform this year? And I think they're performing very well with Kosorotov, Melvin Richardson, Bergerud, very good signings, and they've been doing good. But is it a little bit faster team on playing style of Sporting versus the bigger physique and more, can you say, bigger players in that sense? I don't know if that's the right word to put it, but they play maybe a more physical plot than Sporting try to. So it's going to be, very close.
Yeah, fair enough. And especially interesting to see what that will do with the Costa brothers in those matchups, because it's not a secret that they are the most important parts of the Sporting team, having scored a combined 174 goals, making up almost 40% of the team goals. Just one quick statement from you, Victor. Would Sporting be in the playoffs without them? Difficult one, I know.
Most likely, no.
Yeah. It's tough because they were in the group with Kolsta and Dinamo Bucharesti, but
if two players they have this kind of roles, super as main actors, both of them. If you take these 2 players out of the team, most likely not. But we are just guessing in things that are not happening.
It's just hypothetical, that's for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For me, it's also important with the goalkeepers. Andre Christensen had a really good season. If he's fit and ready for this game, it's going to be interesting to see Andre Christensen, who was not at the Euros, versus Bergerud, who's obviously the goalkeeper number 1 for Norway, to who's going to win this duel. Even though having in mind they also have 2 other great goalkeepers, one goalkeeper of each team besides the 2 ones that I just mentioned. But Salvador is also important, and I'm looking forward to this one. It's gonna be close.
Yeah, that's true. But the question that you just asked, I'm gonna ask you again: who's gonna win that game? Martin Vilstrup.
I'm gonna go with Sporting.
Victor. Well, then just disagree.
Then I go with Wisla.
Okay, because I'm with Martin on that
Bengt?
one. I'm having
Okay.
my money on Sporting here. But then let's look over to a duo with big names but up and down seasons. So we want to have a look at Veszprém PSG. The winner of them will face Füchse Berlin actually, and especially looking into the direction of Paris, I can't really see why they are struggling that much in recent years. Martin, normally you would look at that group and would say PSG is competing for the second spot.
Yeah. Yeah, but is PSG at the level they want to be at or they used to be at? I don't believe at the moment there is. And changing the coaches this year to Stefan Madsen and Henrik Mølgaard, they had what 8 months while they have taken over and they're leading the French league. I believe that's, with all due respect, the most important task they're having. And no, they probably haven't performed the way we wanted to. With me and Victor said a lot of times, the part about having offensive player that cannot be in defense. But here they are against a Veszprém team in the knockout stage. Veszprém also here again not performing as we want them to, and disappointing a little bit, as I mentioned earlier, with a press release saying that there will be consequences if you don't fulfill the main goals we have in this club and all these kind of things. But Paris, I believe there are somewhere around the level that they are at now. I think there are 6 teams, 7 teams maybe stronger in Europe at the moment. But for Füchse Berlin to go up against Paris or Veszprém, it will be tough.
Yeah, well then I'm gonna ask a difficult question here to you, Victor. But if PSG is playing to their standards right now, is Elohim Prandi with 111 goals in the Champions League still on the right team?
This is something we have to ask to him. I think French teams should have the best French players. So yes, he's in a right team, in a right club. But the club that is struggling, I think, to find in the last years their best potential and their best game, and in Europe, because in France they are winning the leagues quite consistently. I think the last I don't know how many but
years.
yeah. Even though it's a very, very tough league, especially with Nantes and Montpellier fighting also for the championship, and they have lost some of the French caps and other competitions that they play in France. But in Europe, PSG is struggling. Yes,
They have great players, on positions. Yahia Omar, as you said, Brandy, the experienced one in Karabatis, Luke Steins, and now I even forgot the name of the defensive player of France that's also in the national team who's performing very well.
Carl Conan.
Yeah, Conan also there, and Paleka also. There are great players, but if you ask me if they were up against Sporting, who would be the favorites in Sporting versus Paris? I would maybe lean a little bit more towards Sporting, and that's where I see them at the moment. That's why I'm trying to put it into perspective where they are and what they're up against. But they are in a position where I even don't think that with the history that Veszprém has the pressure in this one.
Yeah, and I mean, Veszprém, on one hand, they do have the pressure of for sure, but on the other hand, they have been showing that pressured situations are not entirely made for them this season. So if we just look at the last three of the last 4 matches that they had massive leads blown away. So against Aalborg, they were up 15-11 in the 20th minute. 8 minutes later, being 4 goals down. So being 4 goals up, shifted into 4 goals down. 28-22 in the 44th minute, 6 goals up, 15 minutes left to play, into 29-29 in the 52nd minute against Nantes. Lost the game eventually. 22-18 in the 32nd minute, turned into a 23-23 just 4 minutes later against Kielce. Lost that game eventually. Victor, how little does it take to shake your rhythm that much? And to lose a lead like that? How many times until it's a mental thing?
It's a mental thing for sure, because you don't lead against teams like these teams if you don't know how to play handball. So actually, I think they play handball very well. They know what they want to do, but they are in the mental side. They are not competing good enough because they are blowing away those leads. So of course, Vesprem it's a very very delicate and complicated club to lead and to be a coach and to be a player. It's very difficult, but honestly, the results that Vesprem has been doing, of course, it's worrying for the fans but from my side, that I don't have an emotional side with Vesprem. I think Vesprem plays very good, and then somehow at some points in the game they just lose their pace, and it happened the same last season in quarterfinals Magdeburg Vesprem. If you remember, Vesprem was leading both games by 4 goals, you know. So I think that Vesprem somehow they need to find this switch to just be consistent and mature, that we were talking about being mature throughout the whole game. And if they do it, they are going to be very, very dangerous.
So as Martin told us earlier, the fans were chanting adios already, but you still think that Xavi Pascual is the right man for it?
I think so. Probably I'm not objective, you know, because,
yeah, that's completely fair.
Because my view about Xavi Pascual and my personal relationship with him and the love I have for the man, probably it makes me, you know, be a little bit blind, you know, but I think he is the right man to lead them, because in my understanding, he's the best coach I ever had, and he's the best coach preparing, giving information to players tactically, the way he see handball. So to your question, I say yes, but probably a lot of people could say no.
You are more than allowed to not be neutral on that one, Martin. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that he's an unbelievable coach, and let's say that he's not the right fit. Then who is then? If he's not, you also have to see it like that. And I'm not saying he's not the right fit, because takes a lot to coach Vesprem with the history and what Victor spoke about, and with the players also changing to Vesprem, there's something to this club, you know, that the best players, or some of the best players in the world, if not the best, they go to Vesprem because they want them to succeed, and the pressure is huge. But the only thing that they've been lacking for me this season is that they lost home and away against Fischer Berlin and Aalborg, which we are considering, you know, being up there. And then we speak about Barcelona and Magdeburg maybe being a little bit ahead of these two teams, and then still losing both games against them. That's for me the only worrying part, because that would leave them out of top 4. But if they get it all together, then keep mentioning all the names on each position, and we will say good player, excellent player, world class, you know. So in the knockout stages, as Victor said, last year against Magdeburg, it was so close, and it takes a little detail or some of the small things. So yeah, for me, I looked at it before, where I actually believe sometimes Sporting has been performed at a higher level, maybe at Vesprem this season, because at the top level, and they will play against Aalborg. But on the other hand, we know what Vesprem can do, and Fischer Berlin will play against them. It's gonna potentially. I
was just about to say, before we talk them into the game against Fischer Berlin already, let's just say for us here, who's gonna win that one, Vesprem or PSG, Martin?
Yeah, oh, sorry. You heard it. I say Vesprem.
Victor, agree?
I say Vesprem, yes.
Guys, we're on level terms here almost every game here. But I do think that Vesprem will take one home as well. We got to keep it a little shorter for the last playoff round that we are looking at here. GOG against Nantes. It was a very, very wobbly start by Nantes. Losses to Vesprem and Bucharesti throughout the group stage. How hard is it to get back on a winning track after a start like that, Victor?
It's difficult always to change the dynamics. It's difficult, and when you lose 2 games in a row, a lot of doubts are coming to your head. But I think Nantes just did a great job. They won against Fuchs Berlin. They won against Vesprem. Yeah, the beginning is important, but it's more important how you are ending up the group phase.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the end was flawless. They ended up with 4 straight victories. Is it a nice way to warm up for the playoffs and the quarterfinal against Barca already? Or, Martin, do you see that the quarterfinal, the playoff round still needs to be won? So they're not through yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also maybe a little bit blind in this case because I had some years in GOG and I love the team, but obviously Nantes are the clear favorites. For me, it's important that Min stays fit. And besides that, they have a quality team. It's going to be speed versus physic. You know, Nantes team with Garber, Yoshida, Brier, and they are very, very strong team versus Olemitun and Hjalte Lykke that are small players. So that will be a duel, but can GOG score enough goal and break down the defense of Nantes? That will be a topic because Nantes is also comfortable by playing fast, and the home. That is one of my biggest dreams, actually, in terms of handball, is to experience a live game in Nantes because of all the atmosphere and the music and the way that it's. So, for me, Nantes will win this one, and I also see them as more competitive against a Barcelona team than GOG is. With even though my love is for GOG.
Victor, agree? Who goes through in between GOG and Nantes?
Yeah, I think Nantes is favorite.
Then we agree here as well. I do believe that Nantes will go through as of their great form that they have. We do say goodbye to Bucharesti and Karlstad in Group A and Zagreb and Pelister in Group B. We will most likely see you guys back again next year. But then let's move over to our power ranking right now. We'll start at the top because I almost feel like it's more interesting who you guys got in the 5th spot than who we got in the first position. So Martin, you may start. Who's your top tier right now?
Oh, this was actually tough, but when you win 7 goals away against Magdeburg, then you have to be on top. So Barcelona for me is on top.
Same reason for me, and the way that they played their group phase. Barca number 1 right now.
It's the same here. I think the way they played that game, they showed a lot of confidence, a lot of mentality, and to be a great team. So I think that they deserve number 1 of the power ranking at this moment.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I don't see the difference in between number 1 and number 2 at 7 goals like it was in the last matchup that they have, because Magdeburg is my number 2.
Here the same. I just subscribe your words word by word.
Taken. One of the biggest successes of my sports journalism career. Martin, what would you say?
No, it's going to be a copy paste on mine as well with Magdeburg in number 2. Yeah.
Then
and both teams stay fit.
Then interesting 3rd position here. Martin, you can start again.
I have another German team called Fischer Berlin in number 3. Yeah. I have more to say, but I'll probably just say that my number 4, then it's easier.
Fair enough. Victor?
The same here. It's really boring because I have actually the same, and I have the same at number 4 as well.
Is it Aalborg? Because then we can all agree just on the top 4.
Yes,
it's Aalborg,
cool.
And as I said earlier in the episode, Fischer Berlin has they have the upper hand against Aalborg in the individual meetings or whenever they played against. That's why it's like this. Yeah. But I honestly believe it will be these 4 teams qualifying for the final 4.
Okay, interesting. But who will be closest to actually achieving it? Who's your number 5 in the power ranking right now, Martin?
Oh, this was very, very tough, and I don't know if I made the right choice here, but I'm actually going to say Vesprem.
Oh, interesting. Why is that? Why did you choose Vesprem over the likes of Kielce and Nantes?
Because going against PSG, I see Vesprem winning this one, and then they will play against Fischer Berlin with last year in mind that I actually somehow feel like it would be a more of a failure if Veszprem doesn't qualify for the Final Four than Fischer Berlin for a second year in a row, with the roster they have, with all the media attention, whatever they have been there, um, and the strength they have in the team. I honestly feel like they have a very, very, very strong team. And Pascual, will there be some Pascual magic here? I think so. Even that I said Fischer Berlin will qualify, but it's gonna be extremely close.
Okay, interesting one. Victor, who's your number 5?
My number 5 is Kielce.
Yeah.
The 6 victories at the end of the group phase that sealed the deal for you?
Yes, yes. As I said, I think I saw some character back, and I saw some. Well, maybe it's not correct. The character, I think it was never away, but I saw some capacity to win big games again. They showed everybody, and I loved it because I think Kielce is very important for Handball World.
I do think so too. And, I personally even have the feeling that Kielce will be the closest to an upset in the quarterfinals. So I do think they will make it through. And they will be one hell of a task for Magdeburg later on. But yeah, it will be interesting. The Machine Seeker EHF Champions League is definitely going into the very hot phase of the tournament. So if you guys want to watch it, go and check EHF TV, check your local broadcasters if there's geo-blocking and geo-restrictions there. But other than that, you can watch the matches on ehftv.com, just as you can watch the matches of the Women's Champions League. Of course, we want to give a short outlook there too, but as we're running out of time already, we gotta keep it a little shorter here. And yeah, we are recording, as I said already, on Wednesday, and the second playoff legs are being played this weekend. So yeah, we will have a look at the teams that we know are in the quarterfinal already. And in Group A, we have seen Metz on level terms with Gjør this season. Martin, in the group phase, does that have something to say already?
In terms of with Mets, they showed them off very strong, and especially in a group that was very close and very competitive, and with the names in their squad, they are a big contender, not only for going into the Final Four, but also, going very far. I just like the way that they play, the structured play, that everybody knows what to do. They have fast breaks with the wings running, and they are consistent in some of the players, and with Emmanuel on the sideline as well. Manuat, or how people would say with the French accent here. But they potentially very, very close heads up against FTC, which they also have a history with, that they once lost with. Was it Mets won with 6 goals in FTC, and then nobody believed in it, and then FTC won with 7 in Mets. And that's how they qualified. So, but Mets for me looks very, very strong.
They do look very strong if it's not against Gjør. They won every match in the group phase that there was this season so far. But especially the first game that they had against Gjør, they were 16-8 down at halftime. So Martin, would you say there's still like a lot of work to do to be able to beat Gjør, especially later on in the tournament when it eventually counts?
Yeah, but the Gjør team that in the beginning of the season is different from the Gjør team that we're seeing now because of, we will maybe speak about that also when we will speak about Gjør, but they have some injuries in the team, and especially on the line players, which is kind of equaling it more out. And so, no, I believe every team will struggle against Gjør. Let's put it like that. It's not only Mets.
Yeah, well, the teams that didn't struggle that much against Gjør in the group phase were Scheffler and Esbjerg. Especially the ones against Scheffler was a surprising defeat. It was the first one that Gjør had throughout the season. Victor, as a top team, how do you handle defeats that are not really planned in?
Just analyzing, and especially against Scheffler, a team that they play against also in the local competition, and I think they know each other a lot, and maybe this mental side of the game that okay, it's a team that normally we should win against, also takes a part when they play in Champions League, because for Scheffler, playing against Gjør is the best game of the year every time they play against them. So I think that big teams like Gjør, when they have this kind of defeats, they need to analyze and get responses on what they did wrong and be a mature team as soon as possible.
And yeah, Martin, you talked about it already. The personal situation in Gjør right now, the biggest chance for other teams to surpass them?
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, with the line players being out there, and they also signed Ida Maria Dahl for the rest of the season, and we saw Kelly Dolph also playing some line players. So obviously they have some challenges there, and that's going to be crucial. Ida Maria Dahl is also a quality player, but losing the ones that they had with Lynn Blom and Bratsidale, then yeah, she's the captain, and one of the rocks in the team. So I believe they've shown some weaknesses because of the injuries, especially offensively. And if my prediction goes well, without saying too much, they will also have a tough matchup in the quarterfinals against Odense that have beaten them earlier last year.
Yeah, that is true. Will be an interesting one, but we will see who's gonna end up there. The other team in Group A that is to be looked at is Team Esbjerg. It was a close call for them as well to maybe even make it directly into the into the quarterfinals. But no, not really, because it was the direct duels that were killing the vibe for Team Esbjerg. So it was only one of those 4 matches against especially these teams, Gjør and Metz, that they could win. But Victor, with Merck and Reistad, especially this year, they do always give you the feeling that they can beat anybody, right?
Yes. I think Esbjerg. It's not in my top 3, but yeah, it's high up there. I think Esbjerg. I think I had a lot of doubts between number 3 and number 4, but I think Esbjerg is Final 4 team again.
Okay, yeah, Martin.
No, it's just one thing is there more to say than Henny Reistad, and with Nora Mørk back from the pregnancy and also looking good. But on the other hand, it's like so close but still so far away is the way that I think about Esbjerg, and you think about the Final 4. But they were lacking some flow, and there was missing something in the beginning of the season, but recently they've showed them on very well, and it's also at the moment number 1 in the Danish league. So for me, they will go to the Final 4, even though that the quarterfinal that they will play against Bucharesti is, that's also going to be very, very, they also play against each other all the time, actually, but it will be tough. And also with Rikke Iversen coming back from a pregnancy will also strengthen the team on the line player, together with Heindal and Olivia they also have there on. So it's a strong team, and I believe they will qualify for Budapest.
Yeah, fair enough. But then let's look at their potential quarterfinal opponent in CSM Bucharesti. It was a very intense fight for them as well. So Group B in general was super tight, with Brest in first spot with 22 points, Bucharesti with 20 points in the second one, being level on points with the number 3 with FTC, and Odense on number 4, only 3 points behind the first one. So Odense number 4 with 19 points. But yeah, especially CSM Bucharesti, they were impressing throughout the second half of the season. So 8 straight wins to close down the group phase. Martin, it's the Danish wind of Annemette Hansen and Emma Friis that finally pays off.
That also, and Omorechi also, and I also believe that Omorechi stepped up a little bit in goal, and I find it very very, very impressive the run they had if you look at the group, because I know Gjør and Esbjerg and Metz are in the other group, but overall with teams like Odense, FTC and Brest, and then having the run that they had and they needed, and then ending up becoming second, I find that very impressive. But as you said, Anne Mette Hansen is a quality player with a lot of experience, played in Metz and Gjør, Emma Friis, Trine Østergaard. They have a good team, and it also seemed like something changed when they changed the coach also of Popovic, who came there, and that mentality, or the way that she probably gave them some energy. So they hats off for what they did for the second part of the season, as you said.
Yeah, most definitely. But they didn't manage to finish top of the group because we do see Brest-Bretagne there. And Brest, especially with a retiring Anna Groß, who just reached 1,000 goals. And Victor, just some words on her and her career. It's a massive milestone.
Just pure respect on everything that she has done, and she's been playing for so many clubs and under a lot of different coaches, but always delivering and always performing. I think now it's her second time in Brest, and I think it's a special place for her. I think it's a place where she feels good, and after a bad experience in her hometown in Krim, I think it's fair that she can have a very good farewell, because she's been one of the biggest name in the last 15 years in women handball.
And I mean, it is looking fairly good for Brest there. She helps putting them in a great position. So they topped Group B. And Martin, where do you see them right now?
I actually see them as a strong one. It was also close for them the previous years, and also all the respect for Anna Groß, and we also know her from some episodes in this program, and she's been joining us and EHF at Div. She's a nice person as well, so it's impressive what she's done. And but with Brest, it's under the happy circumstances that Foppa is out with pregnancy, but that's a loss for them, because Foppa, she's a quality player in both ends, and they have Ondorno, and then obviously they also brought in Juvette Brock, as we know, who's been playing in other top clubs. I believe Gjør, and has been performing earlier at high level at other clubs. But Vakieva, we keep mentioning her, and also the last season for her in France before she changes to the Danish league. So, but I have them high on my, or I have them going into the Final Four, also because of the potential quarterfinal that they can get, if you can put it like that. I see them as strong.
Yeah, so their quarterfinal is in between the matchup, or the winner of Ikast and Gloria Bistrica. So we'll see, or you guys know it already, who went through there.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we want to talk about one more team here, that is FTC. So they will probably have their knives in the mouth already once again to finally make it to Budapest again, right, Victor?
Of course. When we lived and experienced this Final Four with FTC on the playing court, it was just amazing because of the atmosphere. It's always amazing, but it was just a little bit more spicy because it's the home team, a team from Budapest. And of course, they as you said, the same points as CSM Bucharesti. They are showing themselves in a very strong form, and I think they are also an important contender for the Final Four.
Well, another contender. Go ahead, Martin. Sorry.
No, it's just that I believe also they're very strong, and with Jesper Jensen there and Mette Tranborg coming, Lekic Stop also, our good colleague here, they have been unbeaten, if I remember correctly, for 75 league games in the Hungarian league. That also says a lot about, they just drew against Gjør with a penalty goal in the last moment, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting. What was very important, I believe, is actually that they won the last game against Odense away, so they potentially is not going to play against Gjør in a quarterfinal. So they're going up against Mets, but FTC Györ in the quarterfinal, that would have been crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So because they won against Odense, it will be Odense who's facing Györ.
Yeah.
But FTC.
Well, I mean, Odense is another team that deserves some mentions here, because they looked strong, especially in the first half of the season. But in the second one, it was the direct encounters for the second spot that they all lost. So that was the final points that they were missing to secure their spot in the quarterfinal immediately. Victor, how does that affect a team's chemistry when it's about the direct encounters and you're not able to pull them?
It's always getting in your mind, and the way you handle mentally these encounters, these games. It's very important for the future. So I think, as I said earlier with Vesprem, I think the quality is there. I think the handball is there, but mentally, sometimes it takes a little extra to win this kind of games. And I think it's everything is in their minds.
It was a tough loss. They won against the 50C at home because, as you said, Bengt, if they won that one, they would have been second, and then it would have been, in this case, the Danish rivalry against Esbjerg, but now they need to play against Györ. I have to also say that the second part of the season with Maren Årdal being injured, Althea Reinhardt being injured, Burgård is not in the team. At the moment, Mia Højlund has some injuries, which is ruining some of their flow in the offensively, and she's an important player for them. But Odense and the playing style, it's not going to be easy for Gyør. I actually don't believe so. It's going to be very close between these two teams.
Then let's see whether Odense actually makes it into your top 5 in our power ranking here. And I liked it the way that we did it. So we'll start it from the top once again. Víctor Tomàs, who's your number 1 in the Women's Champions League right now?
It has to be Györ.
It has to be Györ for Victor. Martin?
Yeah, for me, it also Gyør at the moment in terms of power ranking.
Then I do have the hot take. This will be the last position where all of us have the same team. So we'll move on with number 2, and I'm just gonna start it here because in the power ranking right now, I'm putting CSM on second. So I'm putting Cezumir Bucuresti in second spot just because of their massive run that they had. And they won over Brest when it counted. And that's what this power ranking is about.
That's interesting. That's really
it is,
interesting.
because is this power ranking about how they are at the moment, or the potential for them to go to the final 4 and the matchup in the
however
quarterfinals
you
and
like
all
it,
this?
man. It's not that deep.
Okay,
I don't have a rule book for a power ranking.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting, and it makes sense. But they are not in my top 5.
Oh, okay.
Me neither.
Interesting. Then who's your number 2, Martin?
I have Mets as number 2. I believe they're very strong, and with the team that they have in Valentini, Granier, Bukti, Bunsen, Petra. Yeah. No, Mets.
Me too. I have Mets as well as a number 2.
I had them in the second spot earlier, but they actually dropped a little lower. But yeah, we'll see whether we see them on the 3rd position already. Because Martin, who's your 3rd?
I know we're gonna disagree on this one, but I have Esbjerg. Because of Henny Reistad and Nora Mørk and the way they've been playing at the moment in the Danish league, they are going upwards.
Mm-hmm. Victor?
I have Brest-Bretagne.
I agree with you on that one. So I do put them on number 3, but to be fair, it's completely close in between all of them. So there are so many teams on the same level here. I'm gonna do the start with my number 4 because I see Mets there. It's just they dropped that far down because they weren't able to beat Györ, and in both games they weren't able to hold the pace. And in the Champions League, it's about winning against the big teams when it counts, and they weren't able to do that. But they smashed Esbjerg in the last encounter. That's why our top of Esbjerg here. Martin, how about you?
No, I'm just seeing a Final Four without the best player in the world here, Henny Reistad and Nora Mørk. It's interesting. I like these, but I have Brest as number 4. So that will also be the Final Four for me, these 4 teams that I mentioned.
Okay, Victor?
And my number 4 is Esbjerg.
Okay. Then we have my number 5 there, and that being said, they are not that far away of number 2, Cesame Bucuresti, so that will be the quarterfinal in between them. And if I were to bet right now, I would say Esbjerg will make it too. So I do say the underdog pick there, that Esbjerg will win over Cesame when it comes down to that ranking. Martin, who's your number 5?
No, this was tough. Very, very tough. But I went with Odense.
Okay. Yeah. Are those the Danish glasses?
No,
of course not. Odense, the second best team in the world right now.
No, but they won against Gjør earlier, and the shape that Gjør is in, and Odense they almost became number 2 in their group. Can have a decisive game to win the Danish league. I believe they've been performing pretty well over the season, but it's close. It could also, for me, have been FTC.
Fair enough.
But I chose Odense.
It's where I go, to FTC. I think FTC is my number 5.
And that is great that we have all different numbers for everyone but Gjør. That shows everything is possible in this year's EHF Champions League Women, and it's a super interesting competition that you guys can for sure watch too on EHF TV. Then let's close it down with one Champions League winning prediction as of now. So we probably have twisted our minds from the beginning of the season already. Men's and women's side, for you guys down there in the comments too. So let us know who you, as of now, think will win the EHF Champions League on the men's side and on the women's side. Trying to do a little bit of stretching here to give you guys time to think, but that time is over right now. Victor, who's winning the Machine Seeker EHF Champions League men?
FC Barcelona.
Martin?
FC Barcelona.
Then I'm going to go with Berlin. I got to say something different than you. I think Füchse Berlin will do it. How about on the women's side? Who will make it?
Metz.
Metz for you?
Nice.
Martin?
That's, for me, I will say Esbjerg.
I will agree with Martin here. I think Esbjerg, with Esbjerg there, a little bit my heart is speaking there too, because I just feel so bad for them for the last years. That must have been.
But 5th on the power ranking.
5th on the power ranking. But here to write history, man. They can just jump in there.
I was also just thinking about where we had Cesame Bucuresti, me and Victor, on the power ranking here, but no worries. We don't need to say it out loud. They are out of the top 5, but it's interesting. I like when we're not saying the same. I had the most doubts actually for the Machine Seeker.
Yeah, fair enough. Cool. But the interesting phase of the season is just starting right now. So stay close to the handball and stay tuned for the next time for us when it's time to talk handball again, everybody.
Ball across to Dylan Nahi, double in flight. Oh, what a start.
Into the net.
She does it again.